Does your current human resource management book not clearly provide you with concepts and ideas about human resources? Need any help dealing with difficult employee behaviors? Are you frustrated with trying to understand why human motivation is so important? Do you need tools for motivating your employees? The solution to all your human resource management problems can be solved with this amazing book, Human Resource Management in Public Service. This amazing book touches on important human resource management topics such as employee motivation. It also talks about various compensation theories. Using this book, we are certain that you'll be on your way to dealing with human resource management issues in the best way possible. And now, let's hear from our host, Heidi.
Oh, hello there. There's a substantial amount of literature on human resource management, but can it answer two of the questions virtually everyone asks? Why is managing people so hard? And why do people dislike management so much? We have a book that not only answers those questions, but in an easy-to-read format. Human Resource Management in Public Service, written by a variety of authors, but most importantly, Montgomery Van Wert. If you call before the end of this infomercial, you can get your very own copy of Human Resource Management in Public Service for only 3 installments of $29.99. And for today only, we will give you free shipping and handling. And soon, you will be on your way to knowing how to manage people without being disliked. But first, we'd like to cover 2 topics that are often at the root of these issues: motivation and compensation. Irma is going to share her experience with the book and how she gained an understanding of the basic theories of motivation. Irma?
Before reading this book, I thought it was fine to treat all employees in the same manner. This book has revealed to me that there's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. It just doesn't work because of all the different personalities in every team. Motivation is about the drive or energy that compels people to act with energy and persistence towards goals. There are different motivating factors such as intrinsic motivation, the need for appreciation, achievement, and creativity, as well as their mental health state of mind. Others are motivated by external circumstances such as the effects of job goals, salaries, work difficulties, supervision, and leadership. A key principle to motivation is that people are motivated in pursuit to satisfy their own needs. This book talks about Room's theories of motivation. He states that people are motivated to experience pleasure and avoid pain. People show effort and expect this will produce performance results, which will lead to rewards that can be used to satisfy their needs. This book also talks about Maslow's 5 hierarchy of needs, which is important in understanding motivation. The need for survival, being able to pay for food and rent. The need for safety, having security in a job. The need for belonging, maintaining relationships. The need associated with self-esteem, feeling confident and successful. And lastly, self-actualization, developing one's potential. There are many needs that motivate people. It is important that managers align employees' efforts by understanding both the needs of the employee and the needs of the employer.
Thank you to Irma for that very interesting information on the theories of motivation. Next, we have special guest Kathy, a manager from CFS, who's going to talk about the different practices that she has found useful in motivating her staff. Come on in, Kathy. Hey, nice to see you. Have a seat.
Thanks for having me.
So Kathy, tell me about the different ways that you found to be motivational for your staff.
You know, I had a really hard time, Heidi, figuring out how to motivate my staff until I read this great book, Human Resource Management in Public Service, and they gave me this great checklist to create this climate for motivation with my staff. You know, it's too time consuming to go around to each one of them and ask them all what motivates them. And even if you did that, chances are they're not going to know. They're going to change their minds. It's going to change over time. And so to address each of their needs, you can do these 10 simple things. And at some point, you're going to find something that's going to motivate each of them.
I I'd love to hear about those.
So, number one, competitive salaries. It's a way for people to meet their, bills and pay them, and another way for an employer to let them know that we value you. Another one is relevant benefits. That way the workers can meet their health care needs, retirement, and things like that. Number three is meaningful rewards and recognition, but it has to be fairly distributed, and everybody has to see that they're an important part of the team. Number four is opportunities for challenge and training. We have to make sure that we're making the most of their strengths and the least of their weaknesses. Number five is a friendly and cooperative workplace. And this is where those people skills that managers should have really come into play. Number six are the assignments that allow for a meaningful contribution. And most people that go into public service want to make that meaningful contribution. So it's important that HR crafts those jobs to let them have that opportunity. Number seven is feedback that provides for recognition and opportunity for development. So even if you have some not so good feedback to give, try to give it in a positive way. That's going to help with motivation. Number eight is meaningful control over the work environment. Sometimes this means just being able to have a plant, adjust your lighting, take your break when you want to. Number nine is to minimize the demotivating effects of rules and regulations. Here at the county, we have a lot of rules and regulations, but we have to try to figure to work those in without just demoralizing our staff. And sometimes we need to look at these rules and change them where they need to be changed. Number 10 is to reduce that negative supervisory relationship. And this is often the most important. A negative supervisory relationship can just doom the employee and make them want to leave and go somewhere else. So once again, those people skills are going to come into play, and that's where this book really helps out.
Thank you, Kathy. We're now going to look at some actual implementation of utilizing tools for motivation in the workplace and how it can actually be taken from the book into real life.
Oh, hi, Irma. Come
Hi.
in. Take a seat, please.
Thank you.
I asked you to come in today because I wanted to discuss your motivation. I've noticed that you're unmotivated, and I want to talk about that. So I want to talk about two tools of motivation that I found out are very helpful to employees. The one is giving feedback. So a psychological contract is just a mutual agreement. It's a give and take between you and me. I will tell you what I need from you and what I expect from you, and you will do the same thing for me.
All right.
Okay. So to start off with, I need you to be here on time.
Okay.
I need you to give in more effort to your work.
So am I going to get a pay raise? I don't feel motivated because I'm still getting paid the same after 5 years.
Okay. What is it that you're willing to give me to earn that pay?
I'll work harder, I'll be here on time, and I'll put more work.
Okay. So then write this down. We'll meet up again in a few weeks. See if we need to make any changes, any adjustments, and then after that we'll go based. Either I'll tell you either if I can grant you that, or if it needs to be adjusted, or if it needs to be denied.
All right. So wait, how do I know how I'm doing?
Well, let's talk about that. You're actually doing very well. There are some areas that need some work, but I'll provide training for you. I'll help you. I'll have you shadow one of your fellow employees,
Okay.
and they'll assist you with the new programs. I've noticed you need a little additional help on that, but other than that, you're doing well.
So what we just saw from this demonstration was that Magda picked up several tools from the textbook, and she was able to implement the psychological contract, which increased communication and satisfaction, created an open dialogue with employees and allowed them to communicate any changes that might affect the other. Overall, it improved performance and productivity and reduced turnover. In addition, the feedback that she gave Irma was frequent, consistent, timely, and in a positive way, and also was delivered in a very straightforward manner. The tools that Magda picked up from the textbook will help to give her what she needs to motivate her employees. The feedback that she will give will keep the communication open and have an overall better work environment. Speaking of motivation, one of the most common ways to motivate staff is through compensation. But is all compensation good? What are the types of compensation? I'm going to be joined today with one of the authors of Human Resource Management in Public Service, Evan Berman.
Thanks for the introduction, Heidi. There's 4 different approaches a manager can use for compensating their employees. There's seniority pay, merit pay, skill pay, and garnishing plans. Now let's talk a little bit about each of those. So a little about seniority pay. This is pay that's determined by the length of an employee's service. This is typically appealing because it's simplistic, objective, its predictability, its perceived fairness, and the ability to encourage workforce stability. Part of seniority pay is cost of living adjustments. This is across-the-board pay based on economic conditions and not performance. These are typically given annually to maintain external equity. Now about merit pay. This is defined as a system under which permanent increases in base pay are added based on performance. This annuity compounds for as long as the employee remains on the department. This is typically attractive because of the conventional wisdom that supports it, and that is that incentives lead to improved performance. There are 5 preconditions that must be present for merit pay to exist. They are trusted management, valid job evaluation system, clear performance factors, meaningful and consistent funding, and accurate personnel appraisal. Although there are many benefits to merit pay, it should never be oversold as the solution to an organization's problems. In my book, I referenced Gabris, who suggested that every effort should be made to ensure that total compensation system strives to align individual, internal, and external equities. This balance must include attention to how much people receive and the process used to decide how much. And now, a little about skill pay. Criticism of merit schemes are usually more interested in skill pay, which includes the knowledge and competency an employee needs to effectively perform that job. Using this method, employees qualify for salary increments as new skills are learned, used, and demonstrated by results. And now, a little about garnishing plans. With garnishing, the employees and organizations share the greater than expected gains in productivity and/or cost reductions. Typically, half of the saving reverts to the agency's general fund, and the balance is distributed amongst the people involved. Performance is measured as a result of group effort, thereby reinforcing team cohesion. It promotes a problem-solving culture, and it reduces perceived internal equities. The many ways that I discuss compensation in my book. I'm going to hand it back to Heidi, who'll continue the conversation on compensation and how great this book is.
Thank you for being here, Evan. This book not only provides a future public administrator with a basis of understanding about motivating employees and the fundamentals of compensation, but also educates the readers on such fascinating topics as labor market forces and job content. And as a bonus for today's viewers, I'm going to give you a brief overview of these exciting topics. Remember, this is a limited time offer, so pay close attention. You may be wondering what labor market forces and job content have to do with your role as a public administrator. Well, did you know that compensation in any jurisdiction is not just a product of pay philosophy and individual contribution, as Evan just talked about? It is also influenced by external competition and internal consistency. Let's take a further look at what I mean, shall we? While classic economic theory suggests that salaries are determined by supply and demand for certain jobs, supply and demand is actually affected by political intervention, such as minimum wage requirements, collective bargaining, or interest group lobbying. As a result, compensation is often based on employee-initiated self-salary surveys or published salaries from a variety of sources. Keep in mind, when we talk about salaries, we are not only talking about pay, but benefits, which accounts for approximately 29% of the total compensation package offered to an employee. It is important to note that some benefits are unwanted and are seen as more of salary deduction, particularly since they are offered to all employees and not based on performance. This actually results in decreased employee satisfaction. This book discusses ways to address the concerns of unbeneficial benefits, and if you act today, you can purchase this book and find out how. The bottom line for public administrators is this: the comparison of pay of employees with the pay of those performing similar jobs in other organizations or external equity can't focus strictly on salary. This can be very challenging in staying competitive and attracting the best candidates when it comes to compensation. Job content is another factor when it comes to compensation. That is, the value of the work performed is assessed with what the job's contribution to the organization when assigning salary ranges, or equal pay for equal work. One method of job evaluation is point factor analysis. The text defines point factor analysis as a job evaluation method that assigns points to compensable factors which are summed to determine pay. While not entirely objective, this method does have some face validity, and most organizations rely on this as a way of comparing what employees are paid doing similar jobs within the organization. Another technique, pay banding, became popular by downsizing and the need to restructure organizations. This technique offers more organizational flexibility by creating a broader salary range for a position and not requiring formal promotions for substantial pay increases. This technique creates problems, however, including potential Equal Pay Act violations. If you are interested in learning more, this is definitely the book for you. Act now so you don't miss this exciting opportunity. Call the number below and get your very own copy of Human Resource Management in Public Service. Don't delay, supplies are limited. Operators are standing by.